Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, May 14th. A lot to talk about this morning. First of all, we may be dealing with the first tropical system of the Atlantic Basin tropical season. There will be a low pressure area that forms near the Bahamas over the next couple of days. It will intensify as it moves out over the open waters of the western Atlantic. It may not directly have an impact on the mid-Atlantic region, but it certainly could indirectly help to fuel a coastal storm by the middle part of next week, which could bring some significant rainfall to the mid-Atlantic region by the middle part of next week. Tomorrow may likely turn out to be the first day with 80 plus degrees in many parts of the I-95 corridor region. Stays warm into the upcoming weekend. However, looks like it turns cooler early next week, at least in the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. It looks like we may go back to cooler than normal conditions. Much of that will be due to the fact that it looks like we'll have a lot of cloud cover and basically a damp weather pattern is setting up, maybe beginning with the threat of showers and thunderstorms late tomorrow night, into the weekend and right through, it looks like, the middle part of next week. This, in fact, is a 7-day total precipitation amount forecast by NOAA from this morning, Thursday morning, all the way to next Thursday morning. And a couple things to point out. First of all of this here, this heavy rainfall, is associated with a system that again may become the first tropical system. Whether it becomes officially a tropical system in the 2020 tropical season remains to be seen. There are certain requirements with respect to the characteristics of the storm that have to be met to call it a true tropical system. Let's call it for now a subtropical low that will basically move in this fashion over the next several days. And again, it may not directly have an impact on the mid-Atlantic region, but by the middle part of next week there could be strong low pressure forming right along the mid-Atlantic coastline. Again, that could have an indirect impact, maybe feed some moisture into a potential developing coastal storm by the middle part of next week. Notice here this heavy kind of a band here of heavy precipitation over the next several days. Again, it's kind of a mid-level high pressure system will be centered over the southeast U.S. and be lots of rain on the peripheral of that particular high pressure region. So between the low pressure just off the U.S. southeast coastline and the outer perimeter of this high pressure system, much of the eastern half of the nation will get soaked over the next 5 to 7 days or so. Well, in terms of the temperature pattern here in the Mid-Atlantic region, we've of course have had a chilly April below normal and a chilly May so far. Looks like summer-like conditions will finally arrive in the I-95 corridor region on Friday. But what looked like perhaps a sustained period of warmth, no longer looking quite like that. It looks like we stay warm into the upcoming weekend, but then again by, as I mentioned earlier, by Sunday and certainly Monday, Tuesday, even into Wednesday, it looks like it may get back to cooler than normal as a damp weather pattern really takes shape in the mid-Atlantic region. Again, we have a threat of showers and storms late tomorrow night. Looks like that threat can continue each and every day this weekend right through the middle part of next week. A large part of that depends on the development of a potential coastal storm by the middle part of next week. Two of the teleconnection indices we've been looking at over the past several weeks are the North Atlantic Oscillation and its closely related cousin called the Arctic Oscillation. When these are negative for a sustained period of time this time of the year, it generally indicates there still are cold air masses in the northern hemisphere. When I say cold, I mean colder than normal for this time of the year. And right now we're negative, as indicated right in this region right here. The red represents the forecast for the NAO, and quite a few of these runs have a negative NAO, at least a neutral NAO over the next week to 10 days or so. So right off the bat, this is telling us there's still maybe some cooler than normal air masses to deal with in the central and eastern part of the U.S. Well, it's not only the NAO that gives us that signal that maybe there's still some cooler than normal air masses to deal with in the central and eastern U.S., but the Arctic Oscillation, again, when this is negative for a sustained period of time, generally is correlated with some cold air outbreaks that originate in Canada and drop into the central and eastern U.S. It too is a little bit in the negative side, and again, some of the forecasts have it staying neutral to negative over the next week to 10 days or so. So not necessarily a long-term sustained period of above normal conditions, despite well above normal conditions on Friday and even on Saturday. It looks like we get back to cooler than normal maybe in the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday time frame for the Mid-Atlantic region. Well, before we get to the computer forecast model maps here, let's take a look at what the National Hurricane Center is expecting over the next few days. Again, low pressure will form off the Florida coastline and move into the southwestern part of the Atlantic Ocean. This looks like it'll develop in this region here near the Florida Straits, move to the north and east, and whether it becomes a tropical system, the first one of this particular season, remains to be seen. Certainly, let's call it now a subtropical low for now. By the way, if it were to become a named tropical system, it would be Arthur. We talked about the possibility of a quick start to the Atlantic Basin tropical season based on the fact that many times when April and May are colder than normal in the northeast U.S., you do have a quick start to the Atlantic hurricane season, the Atlantic tropical season. Part of the reason is the same pattern that brings you the cooler than normal conditions in the springtime tends to lead to some increased activity in the Gulf of Mexico, in the southwestern part of the Atlantic. Indeed, looks like we may be dealing with our first tropical system of the season. Again, it moves to the north and east, and it may not come back and impact the Mid-Atlantic region directly by the middle of next week, but there's certainly plenty of signs, and we'll see this in a moment, that a coastal storm will form somewhere in this region by the middle part of next week, and this certainly could feed some moisture, have some kind of indirect impact on this potential coastal storm by the middle part of next week. Well, let's now take a look at the operational run of the GFS from 6Z last night. Nice day today in the Mid-Atlantic region. There will be increasing amounts of clouds, warmer than it has been, and then it gets really warm on Friday with, again, 80 plus degrees in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Here we begin the day on Thursday, high pressure sitting off the coastline, kind of that all too familiar Bermuda high type of pattern where high pressure sits over the western Atlantic, and on the backside of the high there's a broad flow of air from the southwest to the northeast. Winds blow clockwise around high pressure systems, and that is pushing milder air from the Gulf of Mexico today into the Ohio Valley, and then by Friday into the eastern part of the nation. Again, 80 plus degrees on Friday. Let's move forward here. We'll have generally rain-free conditions today. You can't completely rule out an afternoon shower, and certainly there can be a shower or two overnight tonight. But here we are now by Friday morning. Notice this isobar pattern kind of tightens up here in all the way to the east coast by the time Friday morning rolls around. It tells us a couple things. First of all, milder air will be flowing in from the Gulf of Mexico right into the Mid-Atlantic region on Friday. It also tells us maybe become quite windy on Friday with winds out of the southwest, again on the backside of that Bermuda type high pressure system. Meanwhile, look at this, between Florida and Cuba over the Florida Straits, low pressure forming, and this is an area to watch over the next several days. Let's move forward here and watch what happens. We have a band of showers and maybe some embedded thunderstorms dropping southeast late tomorrow into tomorrow night. Could result in a few showers, maybe an embedded thunderstorm in the I-95 corridor region late in the day tomorrow, or perhaps more likely tomorrow night. Here's that low pressure area off the east coast of Florida by tomorrow night. Let's move forward here. This thing continues to sit and spin there, maybe intensifies a little bit. Now we're into Saturday afternoon. A couple things to point out. High pressure starting to build over southeastern Canada. That always leads to the possibility of some cooler than normal air moving into the Mid-Atlantic region. And indeed, by the time we get to Sunday, we'll be dealing with high pressure over southeastern Canada, and this low pressure system, subtropical, or maybe it'll be deemed a tropical system depending on the characteristics of the system itself. But some showers on Sunday, perhaps back to cooler than normal conditions on Sunday. And once we're there, looks like it stays damp as we go into the early part of next week with high pressure over southeastern Canada. And here's what remains of that developing subtropical or tropical system by the early part of next week. And then watch what happens here. It doesn't directly have an impact on the mid-Atlantic region by the time we get to, let's say, Tuesday and Wednesday. In fact, it tends to move out to sea. But then we have this development here right along the coastline, maybe some leftover moisture from that subtropical or tropical system. By the time we get to Tuesday night and Wednesday, we have quite a healthy looking coastal storm forming along the mid-Atlantic coastline. And again, the key to this whole pattern is also this high pressure that builds across southeastern Canada. Here it is by Wednesday morning, the middle of next week, over northern New England. That is promoting an easterly flow of moist air and cool air into the mid-Atlantic region, along with this development of a coastal storm. So a lot going on here. First of all, we have possibility of the first tropical system of the season over the next few days. Then we have the possibility of a coastal storm along the mid-Atlantic coastline by the Tuesday night, Wednesday of next week. That could produce a significant rain event in the mid-Atlantic region. Very warm conditions arrive in the mid-Atlantic on Friday, first day with 80 plus degrees. Places like New York City, Philadelphia, D.C. stays warm into Saturday, but then we start to cool down again for the period Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe to below normal levels, and a damp period as well with the potential of some rainfall pretty much each and every day from this weekend right through the middle part of next week. So that's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.